Welcome to this business broadcast interview, and within this video today we're going to discuss how a prep center can support you in managing your Amazon arbitrage business, and also the factors that you should consider when selecting the right prep center for your business too. I'm Tady, founder of Online Seller Circle and Global VA Solutions. And if you are new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified every single time that we release a new session and a new video. Now, I can't wait to get stuck into today's video because I've got Ollie here from Fastpack FBA. And today we are going to be talking about his service. We're based within the UK, and he is serving private label sellers, wholesale, online arbitrage sellers, you name it, he does it. And we want to dig deeper into the mechanics of a prep center, but also understanding what you need to take into consideration, what factors that you need to take into consideration when you're actually selecting a prep center and the right one for your business. So let's get stuck in. Ollie, thanks very much for joining me. How are you doing?
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Teddy. Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Yeah, nice to be here with the Online Seller Circle community and beyond. So thank you very much for having me on.
No worries. Absolute pleasure, and finally great to get you on board today and to talk to you more about you and your service. Now, obviously, you operate Fastpack FBA, which is a prep center located within the UK. And for anyone who doesn't know what a prep center is, I just wanted to kind of give a quick summary. So it's a third-party service that online sellers like myself and like many within our community are doing right now on Amazon and other marketplaces. And a prep center will receive your inventory once you've purchased it, then inspect it, they'll prepare it, ready to then send into, let's say, Amazon FBA. So if you're using the Amazon FBA program, they'll send that directly to one of the fulfillment centers based within the country that you are selling in. And what this does really for your business is allows you to make the purchases, unless you've got a team, a virtual team doing that for you. And the prep center takes on the rest. So they manage the logistics, they manage the prepping, the inspection, make sure everything's as it should be before those goods are actually going in. So Wally, tell me a bit more about you and actually what made you start within this industry, set up your prep center.
Yeah, so it all going back to my origin story, I suppose, right? So all started back in probably around the tail end of 2017, start of 2018. I started selling on Amazon when I was at university. I started with a friend from uni who's actually now the co-owner of Fastpack. Shout out to Dan. Basically, we both got into it around the same time very quickly. We actually went down a bit of an unconventional route. So I personally, up until Brexit, which I'm not going to mention any opinions on, I was a international seller. I was very much a pan-EU seller. I scaled to probably six figures very quickly, sort of leveraging the international arbitrage route. Obviously, as time went on, the business grew, finished university, went, right, well, to be honest with you, I am sick to death spending my evenings and weekends with the TV on, labeling away. So obviously we went, right, well, now's the time to sort of look out for an operator in the market to sort of partner with. And we very much went down that route, just because obviously having a couple of years of working with other Amazon sellers had a real collegiate, community feel. So I was looking for a prep center that would slot into that sort of ethos. We sort of went out to market, had a look around, plenty of operators just sort of popping up around that time, around sort of, the tail end of 2019, 2020, that sort of thing. And for the most part, it felt very transactional. Some of them seemed very professional, but it all just felt along the lines of, you're just a number to us, send your stuff, we send it to Amazon, and that's it. That's where it all begins and ends. But so we sort of realized, hang on, there's a bit of a gap in the market for a more, I guess, well, at the time, we want to be like a almost boutique, relationship focused prep center, right? We want to make sure that we know every client, we know their business intimately, we know how to help them. And yeah, and we sort of just start along, like, let's just start small and scale along, in a sensible manner. So we sort of got kicked off Fastpack, just with myself and Dan as sort of clients for it. Our operations manager Jack was doing it part time out of a storage unit in his local town, and it grew and grew, and lo and behold, here we are with about 60 clients, our own warehouse, about a year and a bit later. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, obviously with COVID getting involved there, that was a real it sort of supercharged things, but also it was just such a bizarre time to start a business, but. Yeah, it's been a fun ride so far, and things are only getting better as time goes on.
Perfect. And like we spoke off camera before, you've got quite a lot of our community that are actually clients within your service. And in terms of kind of what you do, so let's just break it down. If a new client was to start with you, what was part of the service? What do you offer, and what would your team do for that client?
Sure. So, I mean, as you touched on, I mean, a prep center, literally all they do is they receive the goods, they inspect the goods, they prep the goods, and send it to Amazon. So, in and of itself, what a prep center does on an operational level is very simple. But we find sort of where the benefits of our business, where that sort of goes a little bit further, is it helps you scale a lot quicker, like exponentially quicker is what I would say. So in terms of what if someone was to come to us and go, right, we want to join you as a client, one of the best things, the benefits they'll see of that is obviously by outsourcing their prep, they've got more sort of time and energy to be spending on the more strategic stuff, right? So that's if you're working, sort of like a one man or woman army, that's sourcing, that's doing your admin, being all the tax and legal compliance stuff that comes along with being a business owner. Or if you've got virtual assistants, obviously, you're working to build out systems to minimize your personal contact with the business. You're exploring new business models into wholesale, etc. like that. So basically, it just gives you time for you to spend more time either optimizing your business or recognizing new revenue opportunities, right? So
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, that's really what a prep center should be doing for it. But I mean, if with Fastback as a specific example, sometimes it also means you get access to additional growth enablers. Whether it's our free client only deal sheet, whether it's having teams dedicated to additional functions, like shipment creation, issue resolution, stuff like that. Basically, taking all the parts of your business that you've got to pick away at and just slow you down from doing the fun stuff. You basically just push it over to them, depending on the level of service that you're able to get from said prep center. And yeah, and the final thing I guess is also the fact that it releases you. Your personal schedule becomes your own again. You don't need to be in for particular deliveries. You don't need to be spending a weekend stuck in a cold shed somewhere putting labels on stuff. It gives you the freedom that owning a digital business where so much of it is just inherently outsourceable. It helps you enjoy that really, and that's the key benefit of a prep center, whether it's Fastback or anybody else, to my mind.
Yeah, I think that's a really good overview in terms of the benefits of what it does. So in essence, we're saying it saves you time, it saves you space, and it allows one to go forth and actually focus their time on the business or working in the business to systemize the bits they haven't yet done, but really kind of focusing on the key income generating tasks, because we know that prepping, no disrespect to you guys, but prepping is not a key income generating task. And I don't know about you, we speak to and try to hold the hand and push. Sometimes we shove, and sometimes we hold clients' hands delicately to push them in the route of outsourcing, because the prep center is really the first thing, or the prepping is the first thing that one should outsource within the business. Because otherwise, if sellers continue to do the prepping, the sourcing, the purchasing, the business admin, finding capital, and then the replanning, all as a solopreneur, there is a ceiling that they're going to hit. There is a threshold. Absolutely. And they will not be able to get past that threshold. And that's why it's, I think, really important to kind of make sure within this video that we always say, when's the best time to get a prep center? Well, you've just asked that question. It was probably 2 weeks ago or a month ago, so get started. But there are lots of prep centers, aren't there, out there? Absolutely. At the moment, UK wise. I mean, there's loads all over the place if you sell in the US, but for the UK, I mean, we noticed, and I'm sure you did, a massive surge of prep centers opening up during COVID, so 2020, and that was great, because obviously there's demand there. There's more sellers than there were that there are now than there were then. But I think also with prep centres kind of starting up, perhaps we've also noticed there's a few out there that don't have the right quality control in place. They don't offer that unique, bespoke kind of boutique service that you're talking about. So what makes you different from your experience and the service that you offer to, let's say, the next prep centre that's
Sure.
available?
So I guess I'll probably summarize it into sort of three mottos. I mean, so whenever I have like an onboarding call with a client, these sort of three themes always come up to me, right? There's one's, I guess I call it you grow, we grow. The second one is more than just a prep center. And the third one is just add capital. So the first one, you grow, we grow, is basically when I'm on a call, we're onboarding a client. I try to lay it out to be as as honest as possible and go, right, at the end of the day, our prep center only makes money. Our whole business only makes money when you make money, right? Beyond the monthly subscription, but obviously when we bring someone into our company, we invest the time and the energy and the effort. We want to make sure that they are the best possible seller they can be, whether that's bringing them into a whole new ecosystem of services, whether it's giving them the deals, whether it's making sure they've got VAs, whether it's helping them get financing, whether it's getting them access to wholesalers, whether it's helping them explore internationalization, whether it's consulting them on an existing private label they have. We want to make sure that their business is growing exponentially and we're going along with them. And that is such a big thing that I feel is missing potentially from some prep centers, especially if they are your small operation where they've jumped straight into it, they see an opportunity. It's a free market, everyone can do what they want, right? But we just feel like that's our core competency of what makes us different. And just to go further on that as well, of course, that more than just a prep center as well, that relationship focused, being more of a partnership than transactional, is always an important thing to have a successful prep center, right? I mean, in terms of potential drawbacks of a prep center, I feel like one of them is there's this huge misconception that it's a silver bullet that just you outsource your prep, that's it, you never think about things again. That's simply not true. Like, Amazon will shut down your listings, suppliers will send the wrong products, or your grocery orders might not bring things, and there needs to be a relationship there for your business. And if you're wanting to scale to become the next big e-commerce seller, if you look at the way logistics works, logistics partners is not someone you just hire off. It's bringing it together like that. So that's sort of where more than just the prep center comes in, and those services that I mentioned as well sort of come into that ecosystem we try to bring together. And the final thing is sort of just that capital as well. So to our minds, the reason that the vast majority of people sell on Amazon isn't because they love the idea of buying things and then putting labels on them and putting them into Amazon. It's because they want financial freedom that comes along with being a solopreneur, as you said, or that side hustler mentality, or people who have spent whole lives trying to, I don't know, match betting and all the stuff that we've come up on, going, right, well, this is a way that you can make money at the side, leveraging the truly digital community we're now in. So to our mind, everything we do in terms of system optimization, service releases, everything we're trying to do is pushing toward our clients towards the point where basically Amazon just becomes, as close to a passive investment as possible. And I say as close to, because obviously there's always going to be maintenance, but everything we do, we're just trying to build a world where they just have to send stuff to us and don't think about much more. So that's sort of what we feel like makes us different. That's me stepping off my soapbox. But yeah, I'm very passionate about the fact that we love our clients and our clients love us.
Awesome. And I think also on top of that, I would add communication, because we're remote working. You're where you are, your clients are where they are. There has to be a very good communication channel in place. So what do you utilize at the moment to communicate with your customers, your clients, whereby you need to feed something back to them, and equally they need to feed something back to you and your team?
So we've got a couple of different methods actually, and of course with every person it's different, right? But what we do is whenever we onboard someone, we give them a handful of ways to basically not only track what's going on, but also to communicate with us. One is we straight away we give them their own sort of private Slack channel where not only myself and Dan, the directors, are in there. We've also got the operations managers. We do actually have two separate teams. One is shipment creation and one is issue resolution. So we basically have the department heads in there and also their team in there. So basically you've got the whole of our business in that Slack channel. For whatever need you have, you're able to tag the right person, get the right thing done. So that's the sort of first line. We also, of course, for more complex issues, as I mentioned, suppliers can bring the wrong thing and do this and do that, or there's perhaps something that needs to be discussed. We have a ticketing system, a customer ticketing system. So there's a whole customer relationship tool in place there for that to be processed as well. And finally, whenever we onboard people, always make sure that they've got the direct line to at least one of the directors. I have people in my DMs all times of the day, and I'm always happy to speak to people, even when I don't prefer getting texted at 2 a.m. But it happens, and it's fine because as I said, we are a relationship-led business, and Fastpack is just trying to be there for its clients at all times, really.
Perfect. Yeah, because I think communication is for me personally is right up there. It has to be there.
Yeah.
Not waiting a day, 2 days for an answer on something that then creates actually a bit bigger situation or issue. So we've covered obviously the pros to prep centers and what that can do for an individual's business, but what about the cons? There is an added cost, isn't there? Because if you're at home prepping, or you've got your own storage unit, yes, you're paying storage for that unit. You're ineffectively you're doing you're prepping. So technically, whether or not you're paying yourself, there is still an added cost. But when one outsources to a prep center, there is an added cost for that prep, and obviously a subscription fee as well if it's charged. But I think compared to the times, it kind of caveat to that, compared to the time that one would actually spend actually prepping the goods and actually having to be available for the deliveries and then get those goods out as quickly as possible, the cost that you charge, and I know your fees and the benchmark kind of fees for prep centers versus actually the gain outweighs the cost. But that's definitely something that if you're watching and you are looking to outsource, you do need to make sure there's enough margin in the products you're buying to obviously counter the prep fees that you're going to be charged. But I think also the other con here is selecting the wrong prep center that doesn't serve you well, and really understanding what service they offer, what their unique selling point is, what their communication channels are, what do they do in the event of a situation where, let's say, expired goods get delivered there. How do they help you resolve that situation? And also managing the logistics and the shipping, because prep centers can offer two different types of service. And I know that you do this as well, Ollie, where you can the Amazon seller themselves can manage the shipments, but the prep center does the prepping. So all you do as a seller is you pay the prep center to prep the goods, but they then have to wait for you to send the labels and send the shipment and create the shipment.
Which,
and obviously,
to be clear, I mean, so from our side, we absolutely insist that we take care of shipment creation, because firstly, we want to make sure we're removing the seller from as many touch points as possible, and that's paramount, but also from in terms of efficiency as well. Like it's really important as well, just to make it as frictionless as possible. But I mean, I absolutely agree. It's totally around understanding what the service offering is that you're getting into. And for my mind, just to give my 2 cents on it, of course, with cost and with with understanding the service offering is understanding as well what you're getting for what you're paying for. So you can go for the cheapest operator in the market. You know the age-old saying, you buy cheap, you buy twice, right? So I mean, it's all about making sure that you're willing to back your business and invest in the right partner. Whether that's Fastback or not, it's not for me to say, but as long as you're investing in the right partner, and that is where you need to be intimately involved in understanding what they're going to be offering you, because it will be pain in the back end if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And a lot of people I speak to and continue to speak to will sometimes shy away with certain prep centers in the past that we've recommended because of price, and price isn't everything. And I know that you're not the most expensive, and I know that you're not the cheapest in the industry. And that's why kind of we're getting together today to do this interview, because I believe in kind of what you offer. I've heard great feedback from clients of mine that are utilizing your service, and obviously that's why we wanted to showcase what you do and how you've set it up. So I think in kind of summary, that the pros certainly outweigh the cons when it comes to actually, you know, utilizing a prep center and finding a prep center that aligns with your business visions and goals and provides you with an amazing service is where you're actually going to see, as an Amazon seller, you know, consistent and incredible growth within your business. All you've got to continue to do is feed the beast, keep sending those products in, so that obviously Ollie and his team can do the job. And if you want to achieve further growth and in terms of, let's say, sourcing assistance within your business, because that would be the next logical step. And if you want to achieve further growth with sourcing products in line with your criteria, that's going to save you a lot of time and help you to significantly improve your revenue and feed your prep center goods in on a more consistent basis, then the next step for you is to actually, as an Amazon seller, is to think about outsourcing your sourcing, or perhaps outsource your purchasing and reviewing, or your business admin, because that's the next step for you to take yourself out of that role and actually grow the business further. So eventually you can be working on the business, and it can then turn into a semi-passive income for you. So if you are interested in learning more about virtual assistants from sourcing, review and purchasing, or a business admin side for your Amazon business, then we run Global VA Solutions, where we work and have a pool of expert VAs who are ready and raring to be onboarded into your business. So we'll drop a link below this video where you can book a call with the team, where you can learn more about the services and see if we're a good fit for you. But Ollie, we work a lot with obviously Amazon sellers to help them scale their businesses. That's one of the things that we do time and time again. And when we get in contact when they get in contact with us for help, that's when they're still doing the prep themselves. Okay, so we've got clients that have outsourced to prep centers, and then we've still got clients that are still holding on to control. They find it really difficult to relinquish that control of the prep. So they're still prepping themselves in-house, which means they're still working in the business, which is what we've covered, which in my book is, as I said, one of the first things that should be outsourced and leveraged to professionals, so that you guys can check, inspect, prep, communicate if there's any issues, because that does happen. Suppliers and retailers don't always get it right. And one of the common reasons I think why is because people actually don't know how to outsource it. They don't know what to look for within a prep center. So I kind of wanted to address that today. So if you were a client looking for a prep center, what are the considerations and the factors that you would say you need to take into consideration? And what are the questions that you would be asking?
Of course, yeah. So, which, by the way, I should definitely say that I am all in favor of people just prepping firsthand. You should never jump 2 feet into a prep center as your first instance. That is a road to ruin. You need to understand the internal workings of Amazon for you to truly understand what you're looking for when you're going out for a prep center. So that's all the basis for me, for sure. I say you need to make sure you know what you're doing when you're prepping yourself. Yeah. I mean, in terms of what I would look for, there's sort of 4 things that it's sort of the core tenets of what we provide, but it's also the same way that we would sort of expect people to assess a prep center. First one is speed, right? At the end of the day, OA in the UK is pretty competitive, right? I mean, I'm speaking from the experience of selling through Pan EU overseas. The UK is, things move fast, right? If you buy a deal, it may not be a deal. It may just be a dud if you wait around too long, right? So if you're along the lines of speed, you want to make sure you're understanding sort of the turnaround time for shipments. You want to understand the sort of general customer service SLAs. Just make sure you know what to expect, and obviously hold them to it if you're not receiving it. It's very important. The second one is simplicity, right? So, I mean, what we've done is we've basically gone, right, we're going to have a single inclusive prep price, only charge more for bundles, and like a perhaps oversized, but we used to charge for, we don't do anymore. But basically just understanding the price structure, right? Because if you're going along, do sourcing deals left, right, and center, oh, this is fantastic, but but you get charged extra for bubble wrap, you get charged extra for poly backing, that sort of thing. You need to factor that in. We of course gone, right, well, that's just a bit of a nightmare to be able to know by just eyeballing a listing, oh, that's going to need bubble wrap, right? No, if you're not going down all the way to create the shipment yourself, you might not know that. So that's of course why simplicity in the pricing structure is very important. You also want to understand what level of support you're going to receive when you do get onboarded as well. You want to understand who your point of contact is. Are there dedicated teams for what you need to happen? What does the day-to-day look like, right? And of course, as I touched on, we've got our dedicated shipment creation and issue resolution functions where you got a nice friendly face, right? We've got great staff in every department who are there. You'll be speaking to them day in and day out, and they've got you covered. Other prep centers, perhaps you're just speaking to the director and then they filter everything down. They're the front door into the business. Or maybe you get assigned an account manager and you don't speak to anybody else apart from that account manager. It's just understanding what to expect in terms of, I've got a problem, who's going to fix it for me? And finally, of course, how easy the systems are to use. So a lot of what we do is when we're onboarding someone, we will obviously, the first thing we do is say, right, we're going to set you up with everything. You can take a look, make sure you've got no questions, you're happy, you understand, especially if they already have virtual assistants, right? You understand how to outsource this down your team. And of course, as a business, we're always there to offer support on that. But yeah, just making sure that the systems are easy to use and, it's not, clunky, you've got Windows 95 nonsense where you've got, maybe send something by post or like carrier pigeon to let someone know that there's an order coming, right? So the third one, communication, as you touched on, the number one thing our clients say when they've come to us from another operator is the communication wasn't up to snuff. I mean, I personally, and you touched on as well, Teddy, one of the main reasons I started this business is because I'm a bit of a control freak, which I will readily hold my hands up to, right? The idea of me sending my products out into the ether without knowing that it's going to be, I've got oversight, through the prism of the communication I get from my prep center, freaked me out, quite frankly. So that was why we've built the system the way we have, where you've got instant messaging for round-the-clock answers. You've got a direct line to the directors. You can, drop us a text, call us, whatever, schedule in meetings, whatever. And also, of course, having the customer tickets for issue resolution for an easy to understand where you are in the journey of solving a complex issue, right? Because sometimes it's a nightmare, right? The back and forth that happens, Amazon refusing stuff. There needs to be a way for you to easily get to the crux of the issue and just bring all the support that you're receiving from your prep center into a nice organized system, right? Because that's the easiest way for you to get your issue sorted. And of course, the final thing is transparency, right? To our mind, we think it's very, very important that the pricing is transparent, as I touched on, you just keeping it simple. But also billing, right? You want to see how much you've got your monthly bills coming up on. You want to be able to, understand what potential issues there are at an account level. So for both of those, we've got our pricing is all completely transparent on your inventory tracker. It's effectively just like a running bill, so you can see it at any point, right? So they've prepped 4 Jellycat for me. What prep was done to it? How much is it going to cost? What shipment did it go in? What date did that go out? All that stuff. Just make sure that everything you see in the system is as simple as possible and you don't have to ask more questions. You want it to be transparent. You want to be able to take a bird's eye view of your business, right? If you're a busy person, you want to go, okay, check my sheet for 5 minutes. You know exactly what you spent, exactly where it's coming from and where it's going to. And of course, final thing is just sort of reporting the issues as well. So you always want a business where they will hold their hands up because let's be honest, we're human beings. Like while the concept of a prep center is very simple, the intricacies of receiving and doing this and doing that, and in the same way for couriers getting things wrong, for Amazon getting things wrong, for retailers getting things wrong, for, dare I say it, even issues on the client side of things going wrong. As long as there's a way for an open and honest conversation to happen, people go, right, this has happened, let's deal with it, solve it, hold your hands up where you're liable for something going wrong, and as well the support if something goes wrong in another area. So we always offer I would describe a denial of receipt letter, for example, if there's an issue with the courier. With Amazon, we've got people in our organization who used to work for Amazon in their head office, so we have got a great understanding of the inside track, so to speak. So when you're solving issues, we're there to support on that as well. Yeah, basically just transparency, support, communication, simplicity, and speed.
Yeah.
Those are the big ones for me.
Awesome. I think that kind of covers it, doesn't it? So if you're tuning in, we're talking to Ollie from Fastpack FBA. Make sure you watch this video in full. And if you want to get in contact with Ollie and learn more whether or not he's a good fit for your business, and also understand a little bit more in terms of his customer service, what his team does, the pricing, etc., that he can offer you with regards to the package. So whether you're doing wholesale, arbitrage, or private label, we'll drop a link below this video so you can get in contact with Ollie. Now, Ollie, we've spoken about kind of your management portal, your communication channels, which are really, really important to, like you say, deal with issues, communication, let the client actually letting you know when stock's coming in, and then your team obviously feeding back. Now, we've had some horror stories in our community of prep centers, specifically on communication, but turnaround times. Now, you've touched on that because you said about speed. Speed is key, and that was your top one that you said. You as an Amazon seller want to ensure that if your sell-through rate and your strategy is to sell your goods in 30 days, that it's not going to sit with a prep center for a week before it actually gets into Amazon. So you want speedy turnaround times. So just as a kind of quick SLA, what is your ideal kind of view on turnaround times, and what is it that your service offers for that?
Absolutely. So yeah, as I said, 72-hour turnaround is really the gold standard to our minds. We say average 72 hours because, as I mentioned, things go wrong in the wash, but for the most part, 48 to 72 hours is really what should be aimed for. And of course, it is worth saying it's very easy to put your turnaround time on a website. It's very different for a turnaround time to be actually achieved in person. So as a rule, always make sure there's an easy way for you to go and test out a prep center. Make sure that they're going to give you the turnaround that you promise. I mean, for example, we always just say, come along, try it for a month, no problem. Take a go. So that is paramount to understand for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think if you say you're going to do it 72 hours, that needs to be hit, unless there is, an kind of external issue. And I think a lot of clients are, they welcome that if there's open communication there. And it's not a consistent issue, then I'm sure that they'll be absolutely fine. But absolutely, turnaround times need to be on point with regards to this industry in this game. Absolutely. So in terms of associated costs, so if someone was to get in contact with you, they're ready to rock and roll, they get in contact with you, what would they be looking to pay in a nutshell?
Sure. So it's good to understand actually the way that we run our business is we give a single tier. We don't do multi-tier. We just go, right, here is our gold standard. This is it. You pay 50 pence per single unit prep. So that's labeling, poly bagging, inspecting, bubble wrapping, all the different bits that a lot of other providers like to sort of charge up and down for. We go, right, you want a single number for you to put in your BuyBot Pro when you're looking at stuff. You want to understand what your margins are. That's how we do it, right? So that's it. We just go 50p, whatever's done to it. The only additional cost that really gets charged is an additional 50 pence if you're bundling. So the way that we see that is, imagine we've got to aggregate 8 different chocolate bars from 3 different things together. We feel like that's a bit of a faff, truth be told. So obviously we just charge the cost to bring the disparate units into a single one, and then we prep that single one. So bundled units are £1, single units are 50 pence. Now, that is the baseline pricing. What we do when we have clients who, because as I said, one of our cornerstones, what we do is you grow, we grow, right? Because as a client grows and grows, we'll have people who join us like 500 or get up to 2,000-3,000 units a month. We recognize that. We understand their business well enough to go, okay, cool. So I think you deserve some bespoke pricing that fits with your business model. So for example, we have people who move into the wholesale space. Their volumes go up. And they go, Ollie, we've got, 1,000 units of a single SKU coming in. Is there something you can do there? And of course, we sit down, we have a conversation, but it all comes back to communication. It all comes back to us understanding their business, having a relationship with them, and knowing exactly what they're trying to achieve. and the pricing will usually move to support that. That's it, right? So, but it's always down to just, if we know your business well enough, I can guarantee the prices change as you grow. That's it. But I mean, as a base level, 50 pence per unit, £1 for a bundled unit, £3 for a box. However, we do try and recycle them wherever possible. If they get recycled, we're not going to charge you to use a box that basically your stuff came in. Yeah, and this, as you touched on, a £75 monthly fee, which within that, of course, covers your shipment creation, basically, renting the space in which we store your stuff for you. But also, there's a client-only deal sheet that comes along with our monthly subscription as well. So that's we get around up to 10 deals a day in there. Obviously, it's only being shared amongst our very relatively limited client base. Truth be told, many people, because they have their an advanced setup of virtual assistants, very specific things about their business model, they don't use it. But we find some of our clients just starting out, because of the sheer volume of deals, because the deals are going all the way back to February of last year, I think. Like there's so much opportunity there for them to use that as a starting point that they potentially even need a VA initially. But then once they get into that right point, that's when they go, right, I can support the salary of a VA. They'll bring them in, have their own bespoke stuff, and that's when they really start to fly as well.
Perfect. That's a nice little incentive and bonus there as well, especially as a new seller kind of coming on board and outsourcing the prep to you. So just in summary, there is obviously a prep fee, which I think is very, very reasonable, 50 pence single unit, including the additional kind of polybag and bundling, but then £1 for bundling items, I think is very, very reasonable. And also the £75 subscription for obviously you then taking on the complete and entire shipment creation side of it as well is very reasonable indeed. So the link below if you want to get in contact with Ollie. Now, one question I've got for you, Ollie, in terms of dangerous goods, because I know there's some prep centres out there that don't deal with dangerous goods, and I don't mean your hazmat, UN level 3 paint stripper kind of products. I mean the beauty products that Amazon flags as a dangerous good. Do you? So can clients? Because I know this is an untapped kind of area. It's not a lot of people go into dangerous goods. We sell lots of them. So do you deal with dangerous goods? And if so, kind of how does that differ in terms of pricing and what you have to do your side?
Sure. So basically with dangerous goods, hazmat, we deal with all of it. The way that we approach it is effectively, it's still the same price as everything as normal. All that happens is we'll use our the correct courier for that sort of stuff, and we basically just pass on the cost of what they charge us onto you. There is also a £5 like handling fee if we're doing all the label creation and stuff like that for that. But for time to time, we have clients who decide, you know what, it's fine, I'll take care of it. We have a window. We say, right, if you can get us the labels within this time, we won't charge you. It's absolutely fine. You can deal with this, and we'll just make sure it gets sent off at the right time. So depending on what level of involvement we have, if you're a hyperactive client, it's basically just the cost of shipping it over there. If you want to go hands off, go, right, guys, I don't want that additional, touch point, that additional bump in the road. You can just take care of it. We charge you a £5 to do it, so do so. So we just try and keep it nice and simple, nice and cheap. We've got you covered.
Perfect. And I suppose they're all itemized on the prep sheet that you be using and the client can see anyway. So it makes it very transparent from a cost perspective. Awesome. So as I said, if you're keen to learn more about the service options that Ollie and his professional team have on offer, then utilize the link below this video, get in contact with them. Ollie's service at Fastpack FBA is widely used by Amazon sellers within the UK and other marketplaces and countries available, and a lot of our community are already utilizing Ollie's service, so they come highly recommended in terms of the quality of service, great communication, and most importantly, speed, and very reasonably priced too. So use the link found below this video, reach out to Ollie today to outsource your prepping and your shipping, and to obviously save valuable time in your business so that you can actually focus on working on it and growing it to that next level. Ollie, thanks so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. So it's been great to learn about your service a lot more, and also to get your experience. I didn't realize that you were actually a seller yourself. So, you know your stuff and you can kind of put that into play. And I love the uniqueness that you have about your service and what you're offering your clients today. So to our audience, thank you so much for watching. Once again, Taylor from the Online Seller Circle and Global VA Solutions. If you have a business or service that can help our Amazon community, or you have a message and a story to share, we would love to feature you on our next video. So reach out to me within the comments below. Be sure to get in contact with Ollie to learn more about his prep center and how he can help you using the link below too. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.